So one of the first things I want to say is just like anything else, we're human beings, we're variable. I'm not going to be my best self all the time. You have to relax. The more pressure you put on yourself, the less confidence you're going to have, the more depressed you're going to be. You're not perfect all the time. That's okay. Welcome to the Danger Lounge, where all your dreams come true, and every day is a Saturday night. I am your host, the Dangerous One, and welcome to the Danger Lounge for another segment of Flirting with Danger, a little bit of a twist. Now, if you find this material, and I think you will, valuable, please share this with someone that can use it. And after all, given the topic, the subject matter, who could not use this? Hit the notification bell so every time I add more content, you'll be aware of it. And of course, hit the like button. Make love to that like button. So in the meantime, let's get into it. I'm looking at you. We're sharing our souls right now. You and me and you. This topic might run a little bit longer than normal because it does take a while to get through this one. And when I make videos, I make them with the intention of trying to help, obviously, but usually the videos I make were inspired by either someone specifically asking me to make a video because it was to help them, or it was because I've heard it so many times I felt compelled to make a video about it because obviously there's a audience for it. This particular one, I get all the time. This is both. I get this all the time. I see it all the time. It's the X factor, if you will. And I also know that if you don't got it, you're going to live a very depressed existence. You're not going to be able to become your best ultimate self. To become your ultimate self, we always talk about this with La Dolce Vita. La Dolce Vita is creating your best self. You're that blank granite marble slate, and you are chipping away at it daily because you have a vision for yourself, not just for your life, not just for your lifestyle, which is La Dolce Vita, but for who you are. What kind of person do you want to become? What are you trying to create? What are you trying to fashion with this? What do you want your life to be like? What art? You're the artist. You're painting on this canvas. This is your life. What do you want your lifestyle? What do you want you to become? In order to have access to the tools to make you, create you, to become your ultimate self, the ultimate version of yourself, your highest potential, which is what La Dolce Vita is all about. Living creatively, being your ultimate self, having a damn good time. You must be your most confident self. And of course, mindset is everything. And the person who asked me to do this video or inspire this particular one, this is not the first time I've heard it, so I'm doing it. And I'm doing it under a couple of different parameters. Number one, or different context. This person asked me, well, how's the difference between men and women? Well, I'm not a woman, so I don't know if I'm going to get this correct or not, but I can give general confidence advice and definitely for the guys out there. So I'll do my best. But everything is mindset. If you're looking to become your most ultimate self, what you're really saying is, I want to perform at my best, right? So I've got some experience with acting. I have some experience with sales. I have some experience with uh, the ladies. Everything is performance. Results, performance. Results, performance. But if you're focused on the results and not the process, you're going to fuck up. Like if you're trying to cry and you're an actor, you're never going to cry. Right? You have to go through the process. If you're trying to sell someone hard, you're going to pressure them and you're not going to sell them. You have to sell through the process. You have to add value. You have to ask a lot of questions. You got to create rapport. You have to empathize, understand where they're coming from, inhabit their shoes, if you will. allow them to sell themselves. Same thing when it comes to relationships and dating, right? If you're pushing too hard, if you're applying pressure, you're going to be perceived as desperate or they're going to get turned off by it. So when it comes to performance, it's all about mindset, being in the moment, being your most confident self. And we're going to talk about how to do that. We're going to talk about where does it come from? Where do you get hung up? Where this lack in faith in yourself comes from. So let's first define what confidence is. I'm going to define confidence as belief in yourself and belief in your abilities and your own abilities to do something, right? Your competency, your belief in your competency. Are you sure of yourself? Are you comfortable in your own shoes? Do you believe you can adapt and overcome to most situations that you're put in? And particularly if we're talking about dating or if we're talking about your job, whatever is important to you. Also, I believe there's a difference between confidence, cockiness, and arrogance. All right. Now, before I get into that, I'm just going to tell you as a disclaimer right now, I think any of those, in terms of if we're putting in the context of attraction, I think any of those are better, particularly from men to women. Now, ladies, you can correct me if I'm wrong, put in the comments section, by the way. Correct me if I'm wrong. But would you rather have a guy that's obviously you want a guy that's confident, but let's say a little cocky, a little arrogant over somebody that was not confident, maybe a little bit weak, maybe a little bit unsure of himself? In terms of attraction, I think we know the answer to that. So all of these are better than being unsure of yourself. But let's for argument's sake, confidence is okay all by itself. Okay, confidence is being sure of yourself, calm within yourself. You don't have to overextend. You don't have to prove yourself. You feel good about yourself. People can feel it. Okay, you believe in yourself. You believe in your abilities and your competencies, at least on the ones that are important to you and your competency in that particular situation. Remember, it is context related, right? After all, if you put me on the back of a horse, I don't know how to ride a horse. So if you put me in the back of a horse and ask me to ride around a track and beat other horses that are experienced, I'm probably not going to be as confident in mine. However, I do have a general belief in myself. And I believe that I'm going to at least try to compete. Right? I'm going to be pretty good than your average person. Hey, I'll figure this out. How hard can it be? That's the attitude, baby. To me, arrogance is the unattractive cousin, if you will, to cockiness. I like little cockiness, right? I'm a sales guy. I've played sports. I obviously love flirting with the ladies. I think cockiness is attractive in a guy, right? Ladies, am I wrong? A little bit of cockiness, a little bit of, cockiness is kind of like, hey, I know I can do it. I'm going to let you know that I know I can do it, right? I don't have any problem with that. If I'm training my sales guys, I'm the sales manager. I like my guys to be a little cocky. I like them to be a little bit arrogant, particularly if it's sports or sales. I want them to be a little bit like that because that shows me they have a belief in themselves. Now, I'm going to put them out there before I have somebody who's unsure of themselves. Am I not? In terms of performance, that's what I want. I'm going to get more performance. Now, overconfidence is somebody that's not putting in the work, who has not done the work. Okay. So maybe you're overcompensating. To me, if you're arrogant, you might be overcompensating a little bit for what you really don't have. But you got guys like Michael Jordan, who's the most competent basketball player that's ever lived. Michael Jordan. A lot of people would describe him certainly confident, certainly cocky, and some people might even say arrogant. But he could back it up. So therefore, it's all good. It only becomes arrogant to me when you think you're just inherently better than somebody else at everything, right? You have a belief that you're better than everybody without putting in any of the work or anything like that. Not at a particular thing, but just in general, you're better than everybody at everything, right? To me, that's arrogance. But remember, cockiness, arrogance, confidence are all better than like timidity or softness or weakness or unsure of yourself. And here's the last thing. It ain't cocky if you can back it up. So mindset is everything. Whether you're playing a sport, whether you're acting, where you're trying to pick up a woman, if you want to, if you will, you can be the most talented, the most naturally gifted. If you're not in a good headspace, you're not going to perform as well as you could, or somebody that is working harder than you and has a lot of confidence. My uncle once bought me this T-shirt. I watched his pets for him one time when he went away on vacation during the summer, and I was a young lad, and he brought me back a T-shirt to thank me. And the T-shirt, he knew I love basketball, and it applies here whether any facet of life. It doesn't have to be basketball, but This t-shirt had two balls together, two basketballs, looking like, what do you think they look like? And it said, big balls. You got to have them to win the game. That is a motto for life. You got to have them to win the game. And if we're putting that in the context of dating, for example, I've always said you have to have the stones to walk up to the hottest girl in the bar and talk to her. Doesn't matter. You're that guy. I will talk to the hottest girl in here. She might shoot me down, but she's not going to. I wouldn't take it as rejection anyhow, because that's not how I look at it. That's not my mindset. Follow? And because of that, you will set yourself apart. So one of the first things I want to say is, just like anything else, we're human beings. We're variable. I'm not going to be my best self all the time. You have to relax. The more pressure you put on yourself, the less confidence you're going to have, the more depressed you're going to be. You're not perfect all the time. That's okay. You're going to make mistakes. It doesn't matter. Overcome them, pivot, adapt, overcome. That's where the confidence comes from. Now, as pertains to men and women, what's the difference here? Okay, this is from a guy's perspective now. Take this with a grain of salt. But to me, I want my women, I think most guys would agree with me, to be confident. I'm not really interested in a cocky woman or an arrogant woman. To me, and again, this is just my opinion, I would find that sort of masculine, right? Why would you need to develop that cockiness and where did that arrogance come from, right? That to me would be because, the way that guys get confidence, we're about to talk about this is going through pain a lot, going through a lot of trauma sometimes, going through the ups and downs of trying to get better at something. And I don't really like the idea of my women going through a crap ton of trauma before they get to know me. You know what I mean? In terms of dating them, right? Now, in terms of being friends with them or in terms of just knowing them, that's fine. But I don't find it necessarily very sexually attractive for them to be cocky or arrogant. I think a lot of women are attracted to cocky, arrogant men. I think we all know this. But I don't think there's a lot of guys that are attracted to cocky or arrogant women. They might say things like strong or independent or those that sort of terminology, but it really is more about confident in your competency. You feel good about yourself, you believe in yourself, but you don't need to prove it to everybody. It doesn't come out like you're trying too hard. Now, moving on, let's break it down a little further. Why is it important? Why is it important to be confident? I mean, I think this is self-evident for most people, but I'm going to get a little deeper than that. If you don't believe in yourself, why is anybody else going to believe? If you're selling something, right, you're selling me this piece of property. If you don't believe in yourself and your ability, your competency to do something, why am I going to believe? That's going to worry me. I'm going to find somebody that believes in themselves, even if they're not as good as you are, because my psychology is, well, this guy, if he don't believe in himself, why do I think he's going to be good? Here's the other thing in terms of performance. If you don't believe in yourself, by default, you're going to become self-conscious. You're going to be focused inward rather than outward. That's a problem because that will make you very incompetent. And so you're so focused on yourself that you're going to get the yips. You're going to stumble. You're going to fall. It's like if you're playing sports, okay? If you're in the zone, you're in the moment. Everything slows down. You can anticipate things are going to happen long before everyone else does. And everything is flows. Everything's flow state. That comes with acting, that comes with sales, that comes with sports. Anything performance related is all about being in the moment, focusing on the process, losing track of yourself. You're aware, you're hyper aware of everything around you that's going on, but you're so in tune with what's going on that you totally lose yourself. That's when your brain and your body are so connected. And this happens when somebody is incredibly competent because they've done it so many times, practice, action, practice, action. They know it inside and out, and they believe themselves so much that they're able to let go. They lose all self-consciousness. They're unconscious, they would call it in sports. In order to get that, you have to have confidence. But to be confident, you have to have competency. Where does that come from? We'll get into that in a second, how we build confidence, right? Confidence is a great elixir. It makes everything else work, right? Whether it's dating, whatever it is, it stirs the pot. Now, this is kind of interesting. It grants you tools to your tool belt. Now, let me give an example. Let's make this a dating context, okay? I'm a pretty confident guy. I'm very confident in dating. I'm very confident in general, usually. But again, human beings are variable. I'm not always confident. I'm not confident in every context of life. I think generally speaking, I'm pretty confident. Now, I'm very confident in certain things. I'm very confident with sales. I'm very confident with certain sports. I'm very confident with acting. I'm very confident with dating. Okay. But those things come and go. Like in terms of dating, right? That has so much to do with other people's response to you that sometimes you just can't take it personally. In fact, you shouldn't. And we'll talk about that in a bit as well. Because there's so many other things that have nothing to do with your competency. And so you can't take it personally. But you have a certain amount of skills, right? And we just talked about in sports, dude. You can play. But if you're self-conscious rather, you may not have access to that in your self-conscious. You have to be outwardly focused, right? In the zone, in the moment, absorbed in the process, enjoying yourself, and relaxed. Acting, you must be relaxed, okay, to get the best performance. Sports, right? And you can become relaxed, by the way, when you're confident. All these things are related. Am I confusing you yet? You have a tool belt of skills. So if it's dating, for example, right? Your communication skills, your flirting skills, right? Your sales skills, knowing what to do when, knowing how to adapt and pivot in the moment, depending on what that person's giving you back, right? That's your play partner, right? That's your dance partner, whether it's sales, whether it's dating, acting, that's your partner. Now, in order to be your best self and to be your best in that moment and perform at your best, you need access to those tools, right? And they come out when you're flowing, it comes out. You have this tool. Oh, I know when to use this. I know when to use that. And it just flows. It's very natural because you've done it a million times. You know what to do. And you feel good about yourself. And you're having fun. And you're playful. All these things are the same thing. Where you can let it, you can free flow because you feel fucking good, baby. And that's the idea. And so if you're not confident, you become self-conscious, and that's when the tool belt closes. So you can be the most skilled, the most competent at what you do. But if you're not confident for whatever reason, maybe you're distracted, maybe you're stressed, maybe for whatever reason, you're just not believing in yourself generally as much as you normally do, you're going to limit your access to that tool belt. You're not going to be able to get into that toolbox. I know it sounds strange, but it's true. But when you unleash yourself, when you permit yourself, allow yourself to let go, right? Let go. Not be such a nice guy all the time. To give yourself permission to be a little bad if it's a dating context. Or to let yourself dance in the dance floor, let yourself just completely go. And you don't care who's watching you because you're unconscious. You don't give a fuck who's watching you. I'm not embarrassing myself because I don't give a shit. I'm doing this because I'm in the moment. I'm not thinking about it. So that confidence allows you access to that tool belt, that toolbox, which is competency. Because now you're not self-conscious. Because you're not self-conscious when you're confident. You have a heightened sense of awareness around you, but you're not self-conscious in a bad way, right? You're outward. And you're inward and you're outward at the same time. That's when you're at your best. Okay, so now we've been through all that. How do we get this confidence? Well, that's the key now, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So I want to go through a couple of these things, best practices, if you will, okay, that I think will really help you in practical things that you can employ in your everyday life that will make you better, make you more confident. Now, the first thing is because this is a mindset after all. And remember, it comes and goes with all of us. It's variable. You're never always going to be confident. That's just not being human. Okay. And in different things, you can be more confident in other things. By the way, what are those things going to be that you're naturally more confident? Things that you're naturally gifted in, that you're born with, natural talented wise. And then also things that you've practiced, things that you've done over and over again, repetition, things that other people told you were good at. Sometimes you get that from an external source. Okay. It doesn't always have to be from yourself. But if you're only getting it from the external, then it's like a sugar high. It's like you're eating candy to get energy, right? We know it's not long lasting. It's a quick dopamine hit. It's not going to help you long term to stay confident. What is going to be repetition, practice. All right, digesting what you want to be good at. So whenever that self-doubt starts to creep in, whatever context you want to talk about, the quick fix, the quick solution, without getting into it, is action. Action, practice, not talking about it, not dwelling on it, not getting in your own head, but doing something outward. Everything's outward, okay? The doing destroys self-doubt. If you're an actor and you're self-absorbed, right? You're worried about what your lines are and this and that. You're never going to be in the moment. You're never going to be with that other person. The camera's going to pick that up. The person who's playing off you is going to pick that up. The audience is going to pick that up. So to destroy that self-doubt, just go do it, right? If you're worried about making your free throws in a basketball game, what's the best way to overcome that doubt? Go practice free throws and then make some in a game. You know what I'm saying? Go do it. Go fail. We'll talk about that in a second. Accomplishments to yourself, proving it to yourself over and over again proves your competency to yourself. And then other people will start to notice. And then you have the internal confidence, and then you have the validation coming from the outside, which isn't a bad thing to put over it. Mantras can help you. I hope you're taking notes here. I'm giving you good shit. Now, normally I wouldn't say mantras, that's fluff, whatever. I don't know, mantras, whatever. But now that I think about it, so a lot of people, therapists will recommend mantras, right? Now that I think about self-talk, the talk is a real thing. If you stop and you really think about how you talk, and again, this is gonna be a longer video. Just bear with me because it's important. I'm trying to be thorough here. If you talk about self-talk, self-doubt comes from self, right? So self-confidence must also come from self. So some of that must be talking your self-talk. When you say I am something, I am great at this. I am going to be great at this. Whatever it is, your intentions, what you're going to do, that matters. I am going to be great at this sport, at tennis, whatever it is. Okay. That means something. Self talk is a real thing. So therefore, mantras can work. See, I never thought of mantras until recently because I was talking to a therapist friend of mine, and she was talking about using mantras to build confidence. Because we're working on a project together to help people do just this, build confidence. And I said, I don't know about mantras. Really, mantras, eh. And then I started to think about it. Have I used mantras? Yes, I just didn't think of it as mantras. And we all have self-doubt, talk ourselves sometimes, right? So I was like, do I ever use mantras? And I was like, yeah, I use mantras all the time, particularly when I was younger and I was like going out somewhere, right? And I've been looking at me, I'm getting ready, I'm looking at her, and I'm worse than any woman when I go out. I mean, I'm trust me, I am. Ladies, I understand. Trust me, because I'm worse than any of you are. And I'm making sure I look sublime. And right before I look at myself in the mirror and be like, I am money. I am a social weapon of destruction, right? And I'll go and I'll talk to a girl at the bar, right? I'll get her number, and I'll walk away. You know what I'll say to myself? I'll catch myself saying, because I am that kind of guy. I am a social weapon of destruction. I am money. And when that little self-doubt motherfucker kicks in, right? The little Jason Danger that sits up. First of all, Jason Danger would never do this, but whoever the weaker version, when I'm not my best self, gets on my shoulder. Maybe I'm working out, right? I'm having some self-doubt. I don't know if I can finish another set, or maybe I'm just, I don't know. I don't know if I can do this. That little self-doubt motherfucker creeps up right on my shoulder there. You know what I do? Yeah. Get them. I flick them off like that. Get out of here. And it's not like Stuart Small. Remember Stuart Smalley from Saturday Night Live back in the 90s? I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me. Put yourself out there, particularly if it's dating, right? Or acting or really anything else. Put yourself out there on the line. Let people notice you. Allow people to see you. You can't learn anything. You can't get better. You can't be your best self if you're not willing to put yourself out there. So many people want people to come to them, and that's where they get their confidence from, right? And that only happens if you have confidence. People will come to you. That's only if you have confidence. If you don't have confidence, they're not coming to you. Do you know why? Because they don't have confidence. And that's what you're going to understand is that when you get out there and you start having confidence, you're going to stand out because there's so few people that actually believe in themselves. And by the way, it's not bullshittery. It's not you're trying too hard. It's not you're trying to overcompensate and look desperate. It is you genuinely believe in yourself. Once you reach that level, that's why it's important, then people will start to come to you because you believe in yourself and you've proven your competency. Next, experience. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot do without experience. If you're trying to build confidence, then you need the experience because you're going to come off as probably more arrogant than confident. You're going to have to overcompensate if you don't really have the experience, right? We talked about practice. We talked about effort in terms of building confidence, right? Well, that's experience. So all this ties in together, putting yourself out there to get experience. You have to have experience because people sense it right away. You can sense if someone has experience in something because they carry themselves a certain way. And that's where that confidence comes from. They don't have to say it. You know it. See, the cockiness, you're saying it. The arrogance, you're saying it. Genuine confidence, you don't have to even say it. You can if you want. It's fun. I mean, it's cocky and arrogant if you want to make it fun or maybe to push yourself a little bit more, particularly if you're in sports or sales, something like that. But genuine confidence, you don't have to speak about because people feel it. And where does that come from? That comes from getting feedback, becoming more competent, and showing that what you have objective, measurable results to yourself and then to others also. Here's the other key, just like happiness, guys. You have to see yourself progressing. If you can see yourself progressing, getting results, accomplishing more, putting in your work and seeing the effort come back, then not only you're going to be confident, you're also going to be happy because you have measurable results. You may not like this one, but nevertheless, if you are serious about gaining confidence, you have to be willing to forge yourself in the fire of pain, discomfort, possible rejection, guaranteed rejection, actually. If it's terms of dating, that's a perfect example because, yeah, in order to get good at it, you're going to have to get rejected. Yep, that's going to hurt. Yep, yep. If you're trying to get good at horseback riding, I don't know why that continues to be an analogy for me. Like, you might fall off the horse a couple times. How many times are you going to get back up? If you want to get good at it, if you want to gain confidence and competency in that particular skill, you got to go through the pain a little bit, aren't you? So that's why you see people that, when you see people that aren't very confident, that usually, that almost always is correlated with a very low tolerance for discomfort, emotional discomfort, cognitive dissonance, for example. So people that experience a lot of cognitive dissonance, experience a lot of, like, they don't like to experience emotional pain, they're uncomfortable. You'll notice that they're often very insecure, not very confident. Notice this in society. You'll notice that people in society that do not do well with emotional discomfort, physical discomfort, they tend to be very, and they're not going through the pain, not want to go through the work, the trials and tribulations to get better. They just want to hand it to them. They tend to be very insecure and not very confident. And they tend to get almost belligerent at people because they want to claim victimhood. This is the opposite of confidence, guys. These two things are always correlated. So you're going to have to be willing to put in the work, to work on yourself, to experience emotional pain. That's just the way it goes. You want to be good at something, anything, as well as building confidence or developing a skill, you're going to have to be willing to go through the discomfort and the pain. That goes for sports, that goes for dating. It goes for any sort of performance. You're going to have to be willing to suck sometimes. You have to be willing to not maybe be the best at first, to get your ego bruised a few times, just the way it is. But a lot of people aren't willing to do that. So if you are, you're going to be confident. They're not. An obvious example of this is working out, exercise, a fitness program. How many people do you know want confidence and won't even work out? Is that not correlated? They don't have self-confidence and they also don't work out. Or they're not, or they want self-confidence, but they don't want to exercise or participate in a workout program. Okay. How does that work, right? They're not willing to put in the work, not willing to work on themselves. What can you, here's a simple, this is one of the practical applications we can use right now to improve your life. If you're not working out now, why not? Why you're not somebody that takes care of themselves? Do you shower? Do you brush your teeth? I certainly hope so. But if you don't, would that not be gross? Would you think that people are going to be attracted to you? Okay. It's the same thing. You don't take care of yourself in other ways. You don't work out. Workouts happen like showers happen. If you don't do them, it's gross. It's a lifestyle. Part of the lifestyle we talked about with Dolce Vita is being active. Part of being active, emotion creates emotion, happiness. So we have to be our best selves, to build the best lifestyle for ourselves. If you're not participating in a workout program, uh, I'm not going to shit on you. I'm just wondering what the fuck's wrong with you. Do it now. What's wrong with you? There's so many things, and it doesn't have to be boring. It can be fun. It can be dynamic. In fact, it should. It's good to give you energy. What other things can you put in with such a limited amount of time? Right? 3 to 5 hours a week is all you really need. Which, come on, better energy. Don't even get me started. Better energy. You're going to look better. You're going to feel better. You're obviously going to gain confidence. People are going to look at you differently and give you that feedback we're looking for. You're going to get stronger, less chance of disease. You're going to move better. You're going to dance better. You're going to better. Why would you not? How can you not do that? What is wrong with you? And by the way, if you need somebody, contact me. I do personal training. So there you go. I can help you there too. I know I do that too. Amazing. I'm just saying that that's an easy way. It is an absolute essential way to not just gain confidence, but just to be your ultimate self that we always talk about. So exercise now, yesterday, it's a no-brainer. So that's a perfect example, guys, of willing to do the work to get the result you want. If you're not willing to go through the emotional, sometimes physical pain, even just like working out or anything else, or talk to someone if you want to get better at dating. If you're not willing to get rejected or go through the pain, to talk to somebody, but you cannot go to the pool and I want to go to the pool. It's so nice outside. But then you get upset when you get wet. You're going to get wet. It's part of the process, right? You're going to strike out a few times. That's part of playing baseball. But you're also going to hit a few home runs, and that's all that anybody remembers you for. You know Babe Ruth and Reggie Jackson? Of course you do. Do you know that they have like the most strikeouts, or at least they used to? They're two of the highest guys, the most strikeouts. They're two of the highest guys, the most home runs too. But no one ever thinks about the strikeouts. That's my point. In this game we call dating, you might hit 0.001% to be a Hall of Famer. So what if you fail? Here's the thing I can tell you about confident people, sports or anything else. They fail a lot. Okay, that's how they got there because they pivoted and they adapted. If you're afraid of failing and that's why you're not confident, there's a reason why you're not confident. You're not failing enough. Don't be afraid to fail. Put yourself out there. You have to have the balls. If it's dating we're talking about, I said it earlier, to walk up to the hottest girl in the bar and introduce yourself. Yeah, that's right. I'm Jason Danger. My friends call me Danger. I mean, as silly as you want to be. Like I've been so cocky that I'll go up to my friends and be like, all right, pick out a girl you want me to pick up. That one, fine. I'll be right back. Right? Or see that one right there? I'm not wearing like it doesn't matter. So give me some stupid cheesy line to use. I'll use it. I'll go over there and I'll use it. And it doesn't matter. And why? Because I'm so confident, so over the top with it that it doesn't matter. And I can't fail because I know there's no such thing as failing. It doesn't exist. That's in your head. The worst that's going to happen is she might have a boyfriend or she might whatever, but she's going to appreciate the confidence of me walking up. The fact that I have the confidence to do it is already going to put me in a league beyond anyone else. I mean, so what? Maybe she takes to it, maybe she doesn't, but she's going to know I have confidence. She's going to know I have balls. At the very least, she's going to give me a shot just for having that confidence, if nothing else. Right. And so I'm going to get better and better and better at it, aren't I? And soon I'm going to have the sail down. I'm going to know what most women are going to respond to, right? But you got to be willing to fail. And it's not a failure if you don't pick her up. Because in this game of dating, if it's dating we're talking about, there is no failure, right? This is not even like baseball. Baseball, you hit 300, you're in the Hall of Fame. You're only successful 30% of the time, you're in the Hall of Fame. Dating is even less than that. If you're successful like 0.0001% of the time, you're in the Hall of Fame for dating. Right? That's how difficult dating can be. Okay. But you never look at it that way because when you hit a home run, it's worth all the strikeouts. And no one pays attention to the strikeouts. They pay attention to the guy who's confident that gets the ladies that he didn't strike. So the whole point is that you're going to learn, even if you quote unquote fail, which you can't, you're going to learn from it. And I know it sounds counterintuitive, but you're going to learn from your mistakes and you're going to pivot. Oh, that didn't work. I know I've said some things sometimes, and I'm like, well, and I'm not really a pickup line kind of guy. Just like whatever's on my mind at the time. I like to riff. I'm a riffer, right? But I have used pickup lines, or people have dared me to use pickup lines. I'll use them. It's just to get me in the door because once I start talking to them, game on. Here's the other thing, also related, very relevant to what we're just talking about. You can take nothing personally. In this life, you can't take anything personally, particularly if we're speaking about dating. There's too many variables, guys, ladies. You don't know if that person's boyfriend, girlfriend. You have no idea. You don't know if they're having a bad day. You don't know if you're not their type. You don't know. You have no idea what's going on. They might be shy and they don't know how to respond. They always want to get. You have no idea. You can't take it personally, right? They don't know you, right? Too many people take dating or getting rejected personally. That's the absolute worst thing you can do. If you're an actor, for example, do you know how many times you get rejected? Constantly, constantly get rejected. Everything's a rejection. But if you look at the way that I do, nothing is rejection. They just show me a different way of not getting that. And I don't know why. They could have chosen someone else, not because they're a better actor, but because they had a different look that they were looking for. Or that was their friend's person that they brought in. It was a buddy. You never know. You can take nothing personally because you don't know why. They don't tell you why they didn't choose you. They're not going to be honest. And you can't look at it as they didn't choose me. You just weren't right for that part in that moment. Right? And because so many things in life, it's not like if you run a race in the Olympics, right? If that person runs 10 seconds and this person runs 9.5, we objectively know who won. It's not subjective. Dating is subjective. So I personally don't own anything, right? If someone comes up to me and says, I would never date you, blah, 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 blah. A lot of times women are testing you to see if you have confidence. And if you take it personally, you just failed their test. Oh, sorry. See, you should have just gone with being cocky. Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. I don't own it. I don't put it on me. I put it on them. Because if they're going to be rude like that, that's their problem. They have an insecurity they haven't worked through, or they're having a bad day. Oh, I'm sorry you're feeling that way. Did you have a bad day? No, you're an asshole. Oh, okay, well, thank you. I am kind of an asshole, aren't I? King, I like to call myself king asshole. But just get that through your head. You should have so much confidence. Just know when you're rolling that a girl could come up to you and say something really mean, and you'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel that way. Your sister is really hot. Can I talk to her? Will you introduce me? She's got to be nicer than you." I mean, come on. In other words, don't absorb someone else's feelings or emotions. Don't absorb them. You have your own state of mind. You feel good about yourself. You believe in yourself. You're cool, calm, and collected. And you don't let anybody ruffle your feathers. Right? I'm sorry that you're not that confident. Right? And you'll find when you have this attitude, you will be able to see through people's BS. You'll be able to see through people's lack of confidence and all of their insecurities. It'll become very apparent to you because you're not looking inward at your own, you're looking at theirs. And then you'll start to understand, wow, there's a lot of people that go through this life completely and utterly insecure. And that insecurity comes out as vitriol and harshness and disrespect. All right, another tip for being confident, gaining confidence, earning confidence. Whatever you want to get proficient at, whatever it is. Because remember, confidence in yourself, generally overall confidence, and then also specific confidence for certain skills that you want to master, right? Whatever it is, you dedicate yourself to it, you eat it, you breathe it, shit it, and you dream it. Then you execute it. You are just completely absorbed with it. And that's how you get. So if it's a topic you want to get, if you want to get good sales, you read about it. You do it over and over and over again. Different scenarios. Different people practice with you, role playing. Sleep it, breathe it, eat it constantly. And eventually you're going to get so good at this that it becomes second nature and you become competent, which means you're confident and then everything flows, right? Then you're in the zone. You know what to say when, what to do when. You got it. You're performing at your highest level. All right, this is another one, kind of a two-part one, right? Focus outwardly. I think we've already kind of discussed this. And then you can't focus inwardly. Now, when you're doing both at the same time, that's when you're money. That's when you're performing at your best. When you're so focused, you're so like in the moment that you're aware of everything that's going on outside. And you're also aware, but not focused on it, but you're aware of what is going on inside, consciously, but not being conscious. I know it's weird to say, but it's a balance. And the only way you get there is through focusing on the outside, right? What is your objective? That's what you're focused on. And if it's like acting, you're focused on the other person, your objective, not your lines, not what you're about to say next. You're not worried about you. You're focused on them. You already know what the lines are. You can digest it and consume them. you're focused on that other person. If I'm in a great sales presentation, I'm focused on how I can help this person, the process. I'm asking questions. I'm really actively listening. If I'm actively listening and I'm so good at what I'm doing, then I can think about, I'm 10 steps ahead of where I want to be because I'm not consciously thinking about it. I just know what to do because I've done it so many times. So now I'm so balanced between paying attention to what they're telling me. I'm actively listening. I'm really paying attention. And then my brain's going, okay, this is what you say next. This is what you're going to offer. Here are the options in front of you. Pick which one works and then go with it. Right. And you just let it flow because you're so confident and competent because you've done it so many times. You've consumed it. You've read about it. You've dreamt it. You've all of it. You've done the work. They asked Michael Jordan, well, what's the best way to not be nervous about shooting like a game winning? You've made so many game winning shots. How are you not nervous about it? How do you not freak yourself out when the game's on? He goes, like, why would I freak out about it? First of all, he puts in perspective. It's just a shot. If I miss it, I miss it. Then there's always the next game. And I'll make that one, right? I'm not worried about missing. I don't worry about the outcome. And that's what we said, by the way. Don't focus on results. Focus on the process, right? Whether it's dating, whether it's sales, performance, right? It's always on the process. Let the results take care of themselves. Second part is he put in the work, the hours and hours and hours of practice and pain and failure that we talked about earlier. He's put in all that time. He's not afraid to fail because he's failed before. So what? That's how he got better, right? If you don't fail, you don't know how to get better, right? No one who's ever been the best has ever just were the best. They failed multiple times. Thomas Edison, they asked him, they said, he's famously known for obviously inventing the light bulb, but also in order to create that invention, he failed something like 9,999 times, something ridiculous. And they asked him, they said, well, what would you have done if you had failed again? I mean, you failed 9,999 times. He goes, I would have found 10,000 ways that didn't work in making a light bulb. So there's got to be, I mean, that's a hell of a way to look at it, right? But then there's got to be 10,000. If there's 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb, I must be getting close because I've eliminated all the things that didn't work. So I'm on to something that's going to work. And that's how he did that. It was his mindset. That's how he created it. If he had been the average person, he'd be like, oh, I failed 100 times. Can you imagine failing 100 times? And he kept going. He did it 10,000 times. Most people, they failed once, twice, and they're done. They don't look at it that way. That's why they fail ultimately. Right? You've seen that commercial with Michael Jordan. I've failed this many times in my life. And that is why I've succeeded. So if you focus outward on your dance partner, right, or your acting partner, for example, your dating partner, you can't be self-conscious because you focus on them. You're actively listening. How many times we talk about that in my videos with Flirting with Danger? Here's a lesson for you, a little acting lesson. Okay. Now, if you really want to get weird, but it works, this is a Meisner lesson. Sandy Meisner. Okay. Meisner technique for acting. This is one of the things that one of the first things you do when you go into class. You sit down across from your acting partner. It could be your dance partner, your sales partner, whoever it is. Somebody maybe it would be a little weird. Ask them if they'll do it. Okay. Maybe you do it in front of a mirror to yourself. You want it to be a little awkward. It's going to be awkward. If you're doing it right, and if you've never done this exercise before and don't consider yourself a very confident person, maybe a little insecure, like a lot of us are, guess what? It's going to feel awkward if you're doing it right. So you sit across from somebody, you can just sit like this on your back, but you make sure you're sitting and you're within like 2 or 3 feet of the other person. Very close in proximity. It's very important. And look at them. Look at them in the eyes. Take them in. Do this for like 5 or 10 minutes. It's going to feel very awkward. But I want you to take inventory of what that feels like. How do they make you feel? What are you in it? All right. So you notice how you feel with yourself. That's the self-conscious part of it. That's the insecurity, right? Now, what I want you to do is shift that. So notice how that feels first. Maybe the first 5 minutes you do that. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. There's no rules. Just, okay. And then take in that other person. What does it feel like to really have somebody take you in? What does it really feel like? My acting coach would be so proud of me right now. What does it feel like for you to be taking them in and vice versa? What does that feel like? What do you notice? And then what are you noticing about them? What are you observing about them? Their body language, the eye contact, or maybe their lack of eye contact. Does that make you feel like they're not very secure? Their eye color, the physical traits, how they move, or they're not moving in that case, right? What are you noticing? What are you taking in about them? Notice a small fraction of details, very subtle things about that person. Maybe they got a mole here. Maybe They missed the spot. They left something on their mouth. Like that. Huh? When they were eating today. Right? Who cares? It's all humans. We all do this. Maybe their breath's bad. Who knows, right? Maybe hair is a little bit out of place. Who knows? Right? Unacceptable. Point is, I want you to do that. It's weird, right? But you get the idea of you become, once you start doing this and you make this a habit, this happens in sales too. Get used to somebody taking you and paying attention to you. You lose that insecurity because you're focused outwardly on them, on them, on their response to you, on their insecurities, on their lack of confidence, if you will. And you're not trying to make them feel confident, but you are confident. Why would you ever give anybody power over you? They put on their pants just like you put on your pants. They brush their teeth just like they brush your teeth. They stink when they don't shower just like you stink when you don't shower. Why would you ever give somebody power like that? You think that these people are different than you are? They're made up of the same organic bullshit that you are. So why would you give them power over you? Okay, so all these things, again, from a logical standpoint, you know I'm right. But from an emotional standpoint, you have to buy that. You have to believe that. You have to know that. You know it's true. Now, how do you digest that and make that work? Right. New gold for you. You're going to highlight your highlights, right? So if you have I like to call it a life resume, if you will, and all the cool things that you've done, all the cool things you've accomplished, and you have, okay, you have strengths. You have highlights to your life. Now, what I want you to do is highlight those highlights in your mind. Focus on those. You're going to get whatever you focus on. Whatever your words are to yourself, whatever your narrative is to yourself, whatever your paradigms to yourself, but which, by the way, you create. You're responsible for creating those. Those belief systems will build you up or they'll tear you down. It's your choice. It literally is. So, highlight those highlights. Focus on that. Now, if you were a PR department, a marketing department for yourself, whether it be for dating or anybody, just life in general, what would you want to highlight? Let's say you're not you, but you're representing you, right? And you're your agent, and you have to market this guy either for acting or just for life in general. How would you market yourself? How would you view yourself? And then how would you want to be perceived? What's the difference there? In other words, okay, this is how I'm perceived now. I think I'm perceived. This is what my belief systems are now. This is what I want to believe in myself. What are those discrepancies? And then how do you get there? Write them down. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And how do you get there? What are you no longer willing to accept about you, your life? What is bringing you down? What's this albatross, this emotional, mental albatross that's bringing you down? How can we get rid of that? Because it's most of it is going to just be self-inflicted. It's just a belief system that's inaccurate. Most of it, you can get rid of almost all of it instantly, really, most of the time. But sometimes it might be, maybe you haven't accomplished something. Maybe you feel like you would be confident if you had more money. I don't know. Okay. Or had this job or something like that. All right. Well, maybe you would, but in the meantime, you're not lesser than. You see what I'm saying? Because those are all things that you want to show. Because those are all external validation things. That's not really anything. But if you feel like you need to earn some of those things, well, then put that on paper and then start attacking it. Action. Remember, action. Okay. But most of these are inaccurate paradigms that you've taught yourself. Oh, I can't be good with women. Why not? Oh, I'm not good looking enough. Well, that guy over there is not as good looking as you are, but look at his chick. He gets all kinds of women. How do you explain that? He's got more money. No, he doesn't. Oh, so he does. He got money. Well, that guy over there is poor. He's dirt poor. I know. He's got a job. I know what his job is. And he's got plenty of women. What's your excuse? Your excuse. It's all excuses. So put your excuses on paper. Let's see what they are, because that's really what they are. They're excuses. Put them on paper, and one by one, go down a list and poke holes in them because they're not real. And if some of them are real, and you're like, well, that's just kind of true, and I feel like maybe some things are holding back. Let's say it's dating, for example, okay, and you're not picking up the kind of guy or woman that you want. Well, what do you perceive could be the issue? And it might be true, right? Can you become that? Right. Well, maybe you are really aggressive. If you're a woman, maybe you are very aggressive, or maybe you're bossy, or maybe you don't listen well, or maybe you talk too much for like that. Who knows, right? Or if you're a guy, maybe you're not showering enough. Who knows, right? Or maybe you're coming across as not confident. Whatever that perceived weakness is, you probably know what it is, right? Because someone's giving you feedback at some point in time. They've given you feedback. Now, what can you do about it? Is this something that you can do? Can you do it? Most things you can deal with. Can you change your attitude? Yes, you can. You certainly can. Can you change? Do you really need to make a change? Because remember, you can't always blame it on someone else, right? When I say you don't own anything, I don't mean that you're completely absent of self-responsibility and taking inventory of yourself and improving. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that you need to be confident when you're doing it. Okay. So you're confident. You have to get rid of your confidence, but you do need to say, hey, look, I'm getting feedback here. Maybe the feedback is just the results, like the consistent results or lack results. I do have to be honest with myself. Am I not doing certain things, or am I looking at things a certain way that are preventing me from really connecting with somebody? Maybe if somebody's taking judgments because I'm not doing X, Y, and Z. You want to constantly take inventory. That doesn't mean you're insecure, but that's part of the pivoting I'm talking about. Okay, I didn't get the feedback I wanted over there, and I didn't get the feedback there. But what if I try this, and then I get a positive from that, and I get more positive? Okay, I wanted something. Now here's another little nuance I learned. Now all this takes time, and that's why small failures will lead you to be like Thomas Edison. You'll invent the light bulb. But you got to be willing to go through the pain of it. You got to be willing to understand that those miniature failures are actually successes. It's getting closer and closer as long as you're learning from them and not making the same mistakes. As long as you're willing to say, all right, well, I'm not going to get down on myself. I'm getting closer to my goal. I'm on to something. And if you have really good friends in your life who aren't just going to tell you what you want to hear, maybe they'll give you some real honest feedback. Now, if you're the type of person that is confident enough to listen to what this feedback, it may not feel real good, but don't get defensive. Oh, interesting. I didn't realize I was doing that. I didn't realize, wow, I don't really listen as well as I thought I did. I didn't realize I'm always interrupting you. I didn't realize that I always feel like I'm talking about myself and that's a put off for you, whatever it is. Or maybe your friends know something that you do. Well, you know what? I've kind of noticed that, and you got to give them the environment to do it if you want to improve. I kind of noticed that when you're around women, you do this. I've kind of noticed that when you're around, and instead of getting defensive, really listen, be like, take inventory. Is that true? And what can I do about it? If you're placing all your focus on where you suck, you're going to think that you suck. And that's not good. Just say, I'm not good enough where I want to be yet, but you're working on it. Action though. Action. Anytime you're feeling that self-doubt creeping, you little fuck, action. Take action. In that case, it's a flick that little fucker off there and then work on it. Work on it. Okay, I know I'm not good at this, but I'm working on it and I'm willing to fail. And I'm willing to throw myself out there fancy free, put loose and fancy free to do it. And if I look like a fool, I look like a fool. So what? Everyone's looked like a fool. I'll laugh about it. You'll cry about it, but I'm going to laugh about it. All right, this is super, super practical. Notice when you're in public. Are you making eye contact with people? How do you feel when you're making eye contact? Strong handshake, great posture. How are you carrying yourself? Is your chest upright? Are you walking confidently? Is your shoulders back? You got a little bit of a strut? You got something? Got a little bit of swag? It's confidence. All this is body language. When you start to move, like moving, like emotions are motion. So pay attention to your body language. How do you sit? Are you sitting confidently, pensively? Or are you sitting like this? You taking up space, right? Of course, nowadays, if you do that, you're considered a toxic man. But you taking space? You're confident? What's your body language like? That matters. Because if you do it enough, if you're up and moving around, that's why exercise is so important, guys, for mental health, for emotional health, because you're getting up and moving. And that exercise is going to help you what? Improve your body composition, add more muscle, lean out, add muscle, burn fat, more energy, vitality. That's goals. Those are goals. If you're able to put in the time and the commitment to work, are you not going to be more confident because you're more competent and you're stronger and you're leaner? You got more energy? You're going to dance more? Going to make love more? It's all related. Here's the other thing about body language. We've talked about this in other videos. You can, if you're really taking the other person in, I'm talking about in this video if I haven't already done it. If you're mirroring somebody else's body language, there's a reason why you can empathize with them, isn't there? Because you can feel what they're feeling to some degree, which will also help you with dating. I'm giving you gold here. Gold! All I'm asking for is a like, a notification bell hit, and to share it with somebody you like. A lot of people have a very difficult time making good eye contact and keeping it and holding it. Right. And then when you look, try not when you're talking to somebody, try not to look away. Look to the side or look up. But don't look down in a way. Don't look down. To the side or up or turn around, whatever, but don't look down. Like all this has to do with positive self-confidence, self-talk, positive body language. It's all going to help with confidence, guys. And the more you do it, the more regular you do it, the better you're going to get. I mean, one of the things you can do is take a full week. I challenge you, full week. Two things you can do. And for this week, what I want you to do is don't always make positive eye contact with everyone you're seeing. Eye contact. Shoulders back, great eye contact. Not like you're trying to dominate them or you're trying to intimidate them, but just positive eye contact. You're not looking away. When you're talking to them, you continue to look at them in the eyes. And if you have to look away to think of something, you're looking up or looking to the side. You're not looking down. Okay, so do that for a week, and then pay attention. Like notice, observe what you're feeling, what you're thinking, how confident you are when you're doing this. If it's getting better throughout the week, and as it should, if you're paying attention to it. How self conscious are you? Do you start to lose self conscious towards the end of the week? Right. Just those observations. Make note of that. And then also, we talked about talking about yourself, to yourself, your self talk for an entire week. Don't say, trying to avoid anything now. Something's going to creep in, right? Particularly at the beginning. But hopefully you'll get better as you go along. That's the whole point. I want you to not say anything negative about yourself to yourself. Anytime anything negative comes in, anything, any observation that's negative, anything that's negative that you're talking to yourself about, particularly that, I want you to make note of it and no, replace it with something positive immediately. Every time it starts to creep in, crush it, acknowledge that it happened, crush it, and then say something to yourself that's positive. Reframe it. Get really good at reframing. Ideally, at the end of the week, you'll start to notice that, hey, it becomes easier. And then if you do it over and over again repetitively, then guess what? It becomes a habit, doesn't it? Like anything else. And then you become confident as a habit, as your default is confidence. Your default is strong body language. Your default is positive self-image. Your default is positive self-talk. Your default is competency. Your default is working towards getting more competent. Right? Your default is looking outwards as opposed to looking inwards. Now, you're still doing self-inventory. You're still aware, but you're not hyper-aware and you're focused on the outside. You're noticing everything on the outside because you're cool in here. You feel cold, calm, and collected. You're good in your own shoes. You're not overextending yourself because you don't feel threatened. You don't feel pressure. You don't feel like you're constantly evaluating yourself to see if everyone else is judging you. Another practical example of how to build confidence, all right? Inhabit it, right? If we're building a character in acting, what's one of the first things we can do as an actor? We're talking about performance again, confidence, performance, to become someone different if we're not that person yet. Address the external. We're not just inside here, we're outside. But also, how do you dress? Part of carrying yourself is how you dress. If you look good, you feel good, you play good, right? Michael Jordan, I use him as an example. He's wore new pair of Air Jordans every game. Why? Because it said, isn't different. Every time you put on a new pair of shoes, doesn't it give you a different feeling, doesn't it? Well, you wanted that feeling every game. Don't blame him. You can afford to buy 120 pair of Jordans every game. You can do that, right? But you can extend that to how you dress. If you dress in a suit and you walk out nice and you carry, aren't you going to feel prepared for a business meeting more than if you came in like business casual, right? Because people say that all the time. I used to dress up all the time, even when I was younger, right? In my early 20s. Why can't you just relax? I hear like people my age say, like, I am relaxed. In fact, I'm more relaxed now. I feel twice as confident as if I didn't dress like this. What are you talking about? I feel totally relaxed. Don't you behave differently? Don't you feel different? Don't you feel more confident? Don't you feel more at ease when you're dressed nicely? Right? I'm not saying like overdo it in an environment that obviously doesn't call for it, but people expect a certain thing. You dress a certain way, you carry yourself a certain way, you talk a certain way, right? You created this. right? You've created this because you're chipping away at it. What is part of that? Who does this character that you've built? And I don't mean in a fake way. I mean in an authentic way because you've done the work. How does he or she dress? Someone who's to be respected, somebody who's to be attractive, someone who's to be effective and perform well. How does that person dress? You answer that. So why wouldn't you want to feel like that all the time? Not just at special events, but why wouldn't you want to feel like that all the time? You're not just doing it for other people. You're doing it because there's a certain way you conduct yourself. There's a certain way you do business, a certain way you flirt, there's a certain way you wear your hat. And I'll give you one more acting lesson on this one. Okay. So, um, Stanislavski, okay. He's kind of the modern, he's the guy who essentially invented method acting, and he's the godfather of modern day actors, essentially. Okay. So you have different techniques. The most famous ones are method acting, which he invented. We're not going to get into the specifics of that. And you have like Meisner technique, that sort of thing. Okay. Now, Stanislavski had an acting tree, and people, coaches underneath him, teachers underneath him. Like Stella Adler was one. And the guy, and I always forget his name. He played Hyman Roth in Godfather 2. I always forget the guy's name. And I shouldn't because he's a famous acting coach and he's a great actor. If you see him in Godfather 2, he's incredible in that. But anyway, Robert De Niro studied under both. He studied under this guy, he studied under Stella Adler. Stella Adler taught everyone, taught Brando, everyone. She was amazing. And he said that he preferred, De Niro said he preferred Stella Adler because the problem he had with the male director, I can't remember his name, that's a piss, I have to look it up. He will get you in your head, right? And something has to be done. You have to do the internal work too, right? But the external informs the internal and vice versa. But he would have you so in your head that De Niro would be like, look, sooner or later, you got to just get out and do it. Get out and do it. Do the performance, do the act, do the behavior, and everything else will come. Right. And that's what he was saying, what Stella Adler encouraged him to do is just get out and do it. Right. So when in doubt, action. When in self-doubt, action. Get out there and do it. And you'll overcome and adapt as you go. Stop thinking so much. Self-consciousness is your enemy. Does that make sense? Self-competence, action, is the opposite of that. Action. Always action. Do. Don't think do. Don't think do. Stop thinking. Start doing. Remember. It's never too late. Everyone's got regrets. Everybody wishes they could be better at this. I mean, there's sometimes, I don't know if you've ever had this experience where you're in the shower, you're driving, you're by yourself, where all your great thoughts come up, right? All these inventions that you want to patent happen when you're in the shower, right? Or all these great, like profound philosophical thoughts come to your head. And you're like, oh, I got to write that down, right? Or I got a new idea for a book, whatever, right? And, you know, or you're on a road trip, you have all these great thoughts come to your mind, positive memories and stuff. But every once in a while, maybe you're in the shower and you remember something that you did, right? Or you didn't do, or where you failed or did something cringy and like, or you said something, you put your foot in your mouth, or you could have done a better job, but you did this instead, and it just eats at you, right? Oh man, I should have handled that differently. It would have turned out differently. I know what to do now if I could go back in time, but you can't. And that's part of the learning process now, isn't it? And we all have multiple experiences like this. You are not the only one. We all have that. Everyone does. If you take the most successful person that you want to emulate, that you think is a great person, a great talent, whatever, if you look at their biography, you'll read all the times they failed and they were embarrassed and they went through pain because they were embarrassed, and mental, physical, whatever. They went through pain to get there. If you're going to live in a box, in a bubble, and afraid to get hurt, particularly if it's dating, you're in the wrong game, baby. You are in the wrong game. You have to look at it as a story, as it's fun, as you are starring. You are the hero of your own story because you are. You are the main character in your own play because you are. You are the superhero in your own movie because you are. Now, what does that superhero do? What would that superhero do right now? Okay, what would he say to this beautiful woman? All right, your alter ego. If you don't have confidence yet, create your alter ego. What would he do? What would she do? And what I mean by that is, just like we talked about La Dolce Vita lifestyle, we want to focus on goals, but we also want to focus on lifestyle. What lifestyle do you want to create for yourself? We talked about at the beginning of this video. What layers are we trying to add? We're chipping away at that piece of marble, at this vision we have called ourselves, called our lives. You know what person you want to be. What languages do you want to learn to speak? Is this guy that I want to create learn new languages? Okay. Is this guy I want to create? Is he good with women? Is he a great communicator? Does he travel a lot? Is he an artist? What's his identity? What am I creating? If you were making a video game and you're the character you're creating, what would that look like? What would that be like? How does he behave? Right? And I'm not saying be fake. I'm saying you're going to have to do the work to get there so it's authentic, but you have to have the vision of yourself first, the vision of yourself and the vision of that lifestyle first, so that you can chip away at that. That you are the artist. The canvas is your life. Now paint something remarkable. So it's not too late to get that confidence, all right? What sort of person are you creating? And how do you get there? Now map out that plan, work backwards. I'm going to leave you with this. Confidence comes from doing, from accomplishing all the things we've talked about. But it's not where you've been from. Some of the greatest people that have ever existed came from very modest means, very modest backgrounds. Didn't have anything. Their will to succeed, their will to be better, the vision we talked about that we're all working on, and we all struggle to get there. It's never a straight thing to the top. You get knocked down, you get back up, knocked down. Okay, it's just like working out. People think you go work out in the gym and you hit the weights and all that, and that's where you get all the results. The truth of the matter is that's not true at all. You're actually beating yourself up. When you lift weights, you're creating small microscopic tears in your muscle tissue, in your fascia. And then when you go home and you heal, when you sleep properly and rest, when you eat high quality foods, proteins, your macronutrients, your body rebuilds literally with those macronutrients. Okay, so if you're feeding yourself crap, you're going to rebuild with crap, obviously. So it's not the actual workout that does anything. You're beating up your body. It's the healing afterwards. You start here. You beat yourself up, you get a little better. Beat yourself up, get a little bit better. Beat yourself up, get a little better. And ain't that life? All right. So you were at 18% body fat, now you're at 15. You were this much muscle, now you're this. You were this strong, now you're this strong. Why? Because you had to beat yourself up. It's the healing. It's going through that pain and going, okay, that sucked. I got rejected there, but I don't take it as rejection. It's not rejection. I don't know why she. Let's say rejection. I don't even know why she didn't. She may not even have rejected me. That casting director really didn't reject me. I got a different role. It doesn't matter. You got to look at it as a game. It's fun. As long as you know where you're going and that's your path, and you're going to get there no matter what you got to do, then everything is a stepping stone in some direction. Sometimes you move parallel, you don't even move forward. Sometimes you move backwards, but you're going to get there. And that journey is the adventure. It's not where you came from that mattered. It's where you're going that matters. Stop looking backwards, look forwards, look at the other person. Where are you going? Have faith in yourself. Relax. That's what confidence is. Faith in yourself, faith in your abilities, faith in the work that you've done. Now, if you're just going to not put any of the work in, well, then that's not going to work. But you got to have a vision and go after it. And that all that is confidence. Notice I didn't just talk about confidence. I talked about all the things that make you confident. I talked about everything. That goes with dating too, right? The people who are really good daters, it's because they're doing all sorts of different things that inform them. The best actors are some of the people that have the most life experience. Why? Because they have things to draw from emotionally, mentally, experiences. Some painful and some great, right? But they have a multitude of different things. They're some of the best actors. That's the case with almost everything. So get out there, put yourself out there, experience things. Don't be afraid to fail. There is no such thing as failure. And I'm not just saying that. Just go do it. Have fun. And I tell you, I'll leave you with one more thing. Okay? Oh, nose, I don't know about allergies, what's going on. One last thing. And I'll make it a very simple, practical dating thing. So if I haven't been out in a while and I'm self-conscious or I'm not feeling my most confident, I'm trying to go attract women, for example. Well, one of the best things I can do, and sometimes I'll do this because I'll be a little bit apprehensive. And I'm like, well, this is like jumping in the deep end of the pool, particularly when it's cold. Just go in there, dive in, get rejected. It's okay. Because if that person rejects you and make you feel stupid, you laugh and you go to the next one because you've already been rejected now. Who cares? Did you roll over and die? No, you didn't. You're just fine. Go to the next one. It doesn't matter. That's the whole point. Remember, it's baseball. Even if you suck at it at first, even if you're terrible at it at first, it doesn't matter. It's a numbers game. Even if you just go out, it's like sales. Even if you sucked at presenting, if you get in front of enough people, you're going to start learning some distinctions and you get better and better at it. If you're good at it at all, you're going to be being better. And then once you start learning the skill, then you're going to become an expert. But it takes getting out there and making those mistakes and, get over it. Right. And then somebody gives you a compliment and you start a conversation, you start really getting enthralled in this conversation, you get really excited and you're enjoying it, but you're not getting too over the top desperate because you're confident. You're not desperate. She can talk to you, she cannot talk to you. It's up to her. I don't know why she wouldn't. I mean, come on, I'm an interesting guy. But if she doesn't, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to talk to her friend, all right? Or whoever I want to talk to, right? Because I've done the work. I know I'm an interesting guy because I've done the work. I've done a lot of cool stuff. I've read a lot. I'm a good conversationalist. Why wouldn't you want to talk to me? Just like I want to talk to her. She's going to want to talk to me, right? And if she doesn't, that's okay too. Maybe she's tired. Doesn't matter. It's all fun. Just like anything else. We're human beings. We're variable. I'm not going to be my best self all the time. You have to relax. The more pressure you put on yourself, the less confidence you're going to have, the more depressed you're going to be. You're not perfect all the time. That's okay. Relax. Relax. You're putting too much pressure on yourself, and that will cause stress, which is not going to lead to confidence. All that will lead to depression. Yeah, I've rambled on for way too much. Hopefully that was helpful. I try to be as thorough as possible. I know it's a longer video, but you don't tackle something like this if you really want thorough input, without getting into the mud a little bit. So hopefully that was helpful. Remember, share this if you can, hit the notification bell. So I'll see you next time at Danger Lounge, ladies and gentlemen, all my sexy audience. Be safe, not too safe. Stay dangerous, my friends. Ciao, ciao.